So GameStop has officially cracked the code. After years of watching their stores turn into sad little cardboard mausoleums selling used copies of Madden 17 for $47, they have finally figured out the business model that's going to save them. And folks, I cannot wait to tell you about this. Are you ready? Are you sitting down? Because GameStop is now selling digital packs of cards where you pay up to $2,500, you click a button, and a little animation plays on your screen, and then maybe, just maybe, you get something valuable. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that because I want to be very clear about what I just said. GameStop is now operating with a straight face, an online slot machine. That's it. That is the whole business. And somehow the internet is acting like this is just a normal day. Now, before you pull the trigger on that dislike button because you think I'm being unfair, stick with me because I promise you by the end of this video, you're going to be questioning every single decision you've ever made, every company you've ever given money to, and possibly your entire understanding of what reality even is anymore. Because this story gets dumber. It gets so much dumber, and I'm taking you with me. All right, so here's what's happened. GameStop, the company that used to sell you a physical disc that you could hold in your hand, partnered up with PSA, which is the company that puts trading cards in little plastic coffins and gives them a grade, and together they launched this thing called Power Packs. And the pitch, if you read it in the press release voice, sounds almost reasonable. They say, hey, you buy a digital pack online, you rip it open on your screen with a little satisfying animation, and inside is a real graded trading card, a real one. Pokemon, football, basketball, baseball, the whole rotation. And that card doesn't come to your house, no. That card goes straight into something called the PSA Vault, which is a warehouse in Delaware with climate control and cameras, and the card just sits there forever, or until you decide to do something with it. And they're charging between $25 and $2,500 a pack. Let me say that number again, $2,500 for one pack. You click one button, one time, and $2,500 evaporates out of your bank account. And in exchange, you get a digital animation and a card that lives in a warehouse you'll never see. I don't know about you guys, but that sounds like a completely normal, healthy, well-adjusted thing for a human being to do with their rent money. Now, the company, bless their hearts, they've tried to frame this as an innovation. They're using words like bridging the thrill of collecting with the convenience of the digital world. Convenience. I love that word. Convenience. Because you know what's inconvenient about the old ways of collecting cards? You had to walk into a store. You had to physically touch the pack. You had to open it yourself. You had to look at that card. You had to decide if you wanted to keep it. Ugh, what a nightmare. What a tragic, primitive existence we all used to live. Thank God GameStop has come along and automated away the one part of trading card collecting that was actually fun, which is, collecting the trading card. Because here's the funniest part. When you open one of these digital packs, you have three options for what to do with your new pixelated piece of cardboard. Option one, you can sell it back to GameStop instantly and they'll give you 90% of the estimated value minus a 6% selling fee. So you're immediately losing on average 16% of the value the second you make the decision to not gamble again. Option two, you can keep it in the vault and list it on eBay later and hope somebody else wants your little guy. Or option three, the only option that makes this entire thing not a total black hole of despair, you can have them actually ship you the physical card. But wait, there's a shipping fee for that too, and also a vault withdrawal fee, because of course there is, because every single step of this process has been engineered by a team of incredibly smart people sitting in a boardroom going, how do we shave another 3% off the top? How do we make sure that every single time money moves, we get a piece? They've gamified the entire concept of owning a thing you paid for. And I want you to really sit with the framing they're using here, because this is the part that genuinely breaks my brain. They are, and I'm not making this up, they're positioning this as a more ethical, more transparent alternative to the existing trading card repack market. You know those shady guys on YouTube who sit there with a pile of random cards, shuffle them up, put them in a plastic baggie and sell it to you for $70 and say, hey, maybe there's a Charizard in there, bro. That's the market they're saying they're better than. And look, they're not wrong technically. Those guys are scumbags, but the bar they just cleared is literally on the floor. It's underneath the floor. They had to dig a little hole to find the bar. And now they're doing a victory lap going, look at us. We're so much more transparent than the YouTube sticker peeling guys. Yeah, congratulations. You're slightly less of a scam than the guys who are openly committing fraud on live stream. It's a really weird thing to put on a business card. Now let's talk about the math for a second, because I did some math, although I hate it. I'm not a mathematician. I'm a man with a microphone and a grudge, but I did some math. They've publicly said that on average, over a large enough sample size, the value of the cards you pull is roughly equivalent to the price of the pack. Roughly, on average. Now, every single person who has ever been to a casino knows what that phrase means. It means you personally are going to lose because the house is always taking a cut somewhere. And in this case, the cut is baked into every single transaction. You pay for the pack, there's a cut. You sell it back, 16% gone. You ship it, shipping fee. You list it on eBay, eBay takes their cut and PSA takes their cut. There is no pathway through this maze where the average person comes out ahead. It is mathematically a machine that converts your money into their money with a fun little animation in the middle to make you feel something. And I want to be so clear about who this is designed for because they are pretending this is for collectors. You hear that word a lot, collectors. Oh, this is for the modern collector. This is for the sophisticated hobbyist. Bro. Real collectors want the card. Real collectors want to hold it. Real collectors have binders. Real collectors remember the exact CVS they bought their first holographic Mewtwo from in 1999. Real collectors don't want their stuff locked in a warehouse in Delaware they'll never see. This product is not for collectors. This product is for degenerate gamblers with trust funds and YouTubers who need content. That's it. That's the entire demographic. It's people who want the high of opening the pack without the commitment of owning the thing. And I'm going to be honest with you, I understand the appeal. There's something primitive and dopamine drenched about ripping open a pack of cards. Your brain lights up, you get a little spicy feeling. It's the same reason people pull slot machines. It's the same reason people open loot boxes in Overwatch for 6 years and convince themselves they weren't gambling, even though you know they were. Gambling, that's what it was. The entire gaming industry spent a decade normalizing this exact psychological trick, and now GameStop, a company that sells video games, has looked at that playbook and gone, you know what? We can do that, but without even the pretense of a game attached. We'll just do the slot machine part. Skip the middleman, skip the content, just the pure, uncut, raw gambling loop, delivered straight to your vein through your browser. We are speedrunning the dystopia, folks. We're really out here speedrunning it. And I keep coming back to this one detail that I think if you really think about it, tells you everything you need to know. The cards live in Delaware. Why Delaware? Because there's no sales tax. That is the only reason. They chose the location of their warehouse specifically so that when you buy a card, the transaction doesn't count as buying a card because a card never technically goes anywhere. It's a tax dodge dressed up as a feature. They're bragging about it. They're saying, hey, good news. Because the vault is in Delaware, you don't have to pay sales tax. Cool, I guess. Or alternatively, the entire product architecture was reverse engineered from a tax loophole, and they're hoping you're too distracted by the shiny animation to notice. And look, I know what some of you guys are going to say in the comments. You're going to say, Kyler, it's not gambling if you always get a card. You're getting something in return every single time. Sure. Okay. But by that logic, every slot machine in Vegas is not gambling either because you always get something. You always get a receipt. You always get the sound of your money leaving. You always get the memory of the one time 3 years ago you won $80 and convinced yourself you were a professional. The fact that there's an asset at the end of the transaction does not make the transaction not a gamble. The gamble is in the uncertainty of the outcome relative to the price you paid. And in this case, the outcome is, quote, determined by a code-based randomization algorithm, end quote. That's their words, not mine. You're pulling a lever, a digital lever for up to $2,500 a pull. Now, the reason I'm spending this much time dunking on this is not because I think GameStop is uniquely evil. It's because this is where the entire entertainment industry has landed and nobody is talking about it. Every company with a pulse is trying to figure out how to extract more money per user more often with less effort, and they've all independently arrived at the same answer, which is make it a slot machine, make it a subscription. Make it a subscription to a slot machine. Put a battle pass on it. Put a vault behind it. Put a grade on it. Put a little animation on it so the person forgets they're spending real, actual human money. And the entire audience for all of this just keeps going, yeah, seems fine. Take my card, take my card, take my card. Oh, no, I seem to have no money. Weird. Can't imagine why. And don't get me wrong, I genuinely hope this thing blows up in their face. I hope the hype dies in 3 weeks. I hope the whole thing becomes a cautionary tale that business school professors use in lectures 15 years from now. Because every time one of these ideas works, it gives permission to the next company to come up with something even worse. That's how we got here. That's how we went from buying a game for $60 and owning it forever to renting a skin that disappears when the server shut down. Somebody let the first loot box through the door, and here we are, a decade later, with a major publicly traded company charging you $2,500 to click a button. So here's what I want you to do. I'm not going to tell you don't buy one. You're an adult. I trust you. Maybe. But I want you to do one thing before you buy a power pack. I want you to take whatever amount you were going to spend, walk into an actual card shop, the kind run by a guy named Steve, who has been there for 30 years and has a mustache and smells slightly like Diet Pepsi, and hand him that money. Walk out with an actual pack, open it on your kitchen table, hold the card in your actual hand, look at it, and then tell me honestly that the GameStop digital warehouse version gives you that same feeling. Because if it does, I think you might need to talk to somebody, and I mean that with love, truly with love. All right, that is where I'm gonna leave this one, because honestly, if I keep going, I'm gonna start recommending a card game called Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's a whole other video. Drop a comment and let me know, are you gonna buy one of these? Are you already in the beta? Did you pull something crazy? Are you gonna ship it? Or is it rotting in Delaware as we speak? Tell me everything. I wanna hear it. Smash the like, smash the subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.